What's up, everybody? Just gonna wait for the room to fill up as usual before we get started. Hey, Sandy. Think I saw Caitlin in there. Doc Angel. Thank you for being here. Lori, hello. Prepping artist. How you doing? Thank you for being here. Little change of scenery tonight, folks. We got some weather happening up here at the outpost this weekend, so I had to bring the broadcast up onto the deck tonight. So no campfire. City Prepper, I see you. Hello. Other than the light rain, got some comfortable temperatures up here in southern New England. Nice quiet night out in the woods at the outpost. So just chillaxing. Got the citronella candle to keep the skeeters away. All right, what do we got here? Yeah, if the rain clears up, I'm gonna hopefully try to have a campfire in a little bit. We'll see. I was just checking the weather for my area, and it's supposed to be light rain for the next hour or so. Pretty much the time that I'm gonna be on here. But it is what it is. I've been lucky these past few times with having a broadcast. You know, the weather's been good campfire weather, so I guess we would do to bring it up onto the deck. All right. Looking back is a bad habit. All right, that's this week's John Wayne quote. Looking back is a bad habit. All right, that's what's stated on the back of my John Wayne t-shirt that I'm wearing this week. As you guys already know, or for those of you that are new here, I'm a big fan of John Wayne. He's a man's man. I know I say this every week. He was my hero. All right. I like to emulate him in a lot of ways, and I believe America needs John Wayne. So get that out of the way. Looking back is a bad habit. All right. So let's jump right into it, folks. All right, this week's broadcast. Ready to rock and roll. All right, I have the coffee. I have the coke. Don't have the campfire, but I am dry underneath the awning here at the outpost up on the deck. All right, so let's hop into it, guys. So today, Air Defender 2023 has begun. All right, and for those of you that caught last week's broadcast, we were talking about potential dates to pay attention to for when shit could possibly pop off, such as World War III dates. All right, and it was discussed last week that Air Defender 2023 could be something to pay close attention to. All right, I'm not going to go extensively into Air Defender 2023 because we talked about it last week, but for those of you that may have not caught that broadcast, catch you up to it. All right. So, off of the notes, we got Air Defender 2023 officially kicks off today. All right. This is the largest Air Force deployment exercise in NATO history. All right. The drill that will last from today, June 12th to June 23rd, will be conducted in the skies just outside of the Ukraine-Russia war zone. Okay. Many people fear this exercise, quote, is actually a cover for NATO to directly involve itself in the conflict and therefore commence World War III. All right, just like we talked about last week, which could go nuclear. All right, that's the possibility right there because we all know Russia possesses nukes as well as we do. In my opinion, and this is just my opinion, folks, I don't think we would see a nuclear conflict or a nuclear exchange between the U.S. and Russia. And I'll explain that more and my reasons behind it later on after I get done with the broadcast here. All right, and you tell me if my reasoning makes sense. All right, so stay tuned for the next few minutes. All right. It has been widely speculated that NATO is looking for an excuse to enter the fight. Okay, we talked about this. NATO has provided Ukraine with weapons, ammunition, artillery, and missiles. Moreover, NATO has assisted Ukraine with surveillance, reconnaissance, and even targeting information on how and where to hit Russian troops. All right. Folks, just let me know if you can hear me above the rain. All right. If you cannot, I will move the broadcast inside, all right, because we are getting heavy rain right now. All right, and then, we talked about the reconnaissance and targeting of where to hit Russian troops. Not to mention the billions of dollars that have poured into Ukraine from NATO countries to help with the fight against Russia. However, despite all of NATO's efforts, Russia as of yet hasn't attacked any NATO countries. Moreover, it is widely speculated that Ukraine is failing. All right? And that last statement right there, it is widely speculated that Ukraine is failing. In my opinion, I think that goes with whatever news source that you follow, okay? In other words, MSM, all right, mainstream media, might not be coming out and saying that Ukraine is failing this conflict or losing this fight. KC, hello. Thank you for being here. It's okay. We had to move the broadcast up onto the deck because we got some rain here, all right? So we're on the deck of the outpost. Moving forward, despite of all of NATO's help, Ukraine isn't gaining much ground in this so-called counteroffensive, all right, that we talked about last week, that began, all right? That counteroffensive is reportedly began last week, all right? And again, going back to the media source, the type of media sources that you guys gather your intel from or your information from, it really depends on who you're watching where you're going to get the most accurate news. And what is accurate when it comes to this conflict in itself? I mean, for instance, when we're talking about the counteroffensive, it's saying that Ukraine's making progress, according to some outlets. And then there are other sources that are coming out saying that Ukraine's getting their asses handed to them, all right? And I'm going with the latter, folks, because I like to gather my information from independent media sources. And there are a lot of independent media sources out there basically saying the same thing. They're saying the same song. All right. And that is Ukraine is getting smashed up. All right. Moving forward. So, counteroffensive that began last week. We all heard about what happened with that dam. Okay, that got blown up. I believe that happened during last week's broadcast, right? So they are getting beat on the battlefield, all right? Despite all of the military's equipment that NATO has been sending to Ukraine, it is all being lost in the battlefield. And it appears that Ukraine is losing this conflict, all right? As a result, Ukraine's only hope is what, guys? What's Ukraine's only hope at this point right now, all right? Because this well talked about counteroffensive, all right, that has been talked about for several months now, they appear to be spinning their tires in the mud, all right? So we've already sent the billions of dollars over to Ukraine, all right? We've already sent the weapons, the ammunition, all right? We've already helped them out pretty much on the ground with surveillance and reconnaissance, helping them target Russian Russian troops, I'm sorry, all right? And they're getting smashed up in the battlefield, right? So what is Ukraine's only hope right now? It's basically, folks, it's Ukraine's only hope is for NATO to jump into this conflict and help them and help save the day, right? So they enter the conflict, all right, but you got to remember that Russia has not attacked any NATO countries yet, all right? So just like we talked about last week, Air Defender 2023, which officially kicked off today, could be the opportunity, right? That could be the opportunity for an incident, right, quotes, to happen so as to justify NATO's entry into the conflict. All right, so that's pretty much the latest coming out of the war zone over there. All right, again, I didn't want to get in too much into it because we discussed this in depth last week. So there's that. It's going to be something to pay attention to for the upcoming days, right? This is a very interesting time right now that is occurring, right? With this largest ever NATO exercise taking place right outside of these borders, all right? And my gut tells me that, yeah, they're probably going to look for some kind of excuse, create some kind of incident, right? I agree with the author of this article. That will justify NATO entering this conflict zone, this war rather, all right? And speaking of, in my description at the bottom of this video, you will see all the sources that I gathered for this broadcast. Credit for those folks that wrote those articles, all right? So, moving forward, we got some other news, all right? Out of Taiwan, the China front, all right? That's the whole other side of the coin here when it comes to this. So in other news, the Biden administration, Ice Cream Man, right? They're working on evacuation plans for American citizens living in Taiwan, guys. All right. Hello, Miss Sharon. Thank you for being here. All right. It's being reported that some 5,000 American citizens are on the island of Taiwan. All right, whether they live there, whether they work there, both. All right, and Ice Cream Man is working on plans to evacuate them off of Taiwan. All right, something to pay attention to right there. All right, and that should raise some alarm bells. All right. So moving on with that. Yeah, and that's per multiple sources. So it's being reported that around 5,000 Americans currently live or work on Taiwan, like I just said. And, you know, it's due to the rising threats of a Chinese invasion, right? Pretty much China's been telling Taiwan and pretty much telling the world that they've been planning on invading Taiwan for the past several years. So there's a heightened level of tension as of late. And speaking of that, in particular, just yesterday, Taiwan's Air Force scrambled into action after spotting 10 Chinese warplanes crossing the sensitive median line of the Taiwan Strait. In addition, there were 4 Chinese warships, each loaded with combat troops, carrying out combat patrols. All right. The median line of the Taiwan Strait is an unofficial barrier between mainland China and the island nation of Taiwan. And that line is crossed, and if that line is crossed by China, it is considered to Taiwan as an act of aggression, right? China doesn't recognize that median line. They've crossed it several times just this year alone, right? So they don't even recognize Taiwan as a sovereign nation. They recognize Taiwan as part of China, and it's China's goal is to reunite. Get it out, Mad. Help me. Unify. I gotta drink more coffee, or maybe I should lay off of the coffee. Reunify Taiwan with China. All right, so China's just basically saying, yeah, we don't really care about this median line. We don't care if it's an act of aggression if we cross it. We don't care if we conduct war games and simulation drills on invading Taiwan right outside, right off of your beaches, or right there in the Taiwan Strait. They have zero disregard, guys. All right. This past April, China held war games in Taiwan Strait, which simulated Chinese invasion of Taiwan. All right, and China's defense ministry has not responded to any comments when they're being reached out for that, about these actions that they're taking. All right, so that's pretty much the news that's coming out of the Taiwan Strait and the Ukraine-Russia conflict. All right. Things are about to go hot, in my opinion. It's just, I think we are pretty much right there on the doorstep of going all out, and when I say the U.S. being involved in this conflict. Now, I'm just going to throw something out there, all right, because we have talked extensively about China invading Taiwan, all right, and then we have the Russia-Ukraine thing happening. Do I think China is going to invade Taiwan? Yes, I do. At some point, I really do believe that China is going to invade. Could they do it tomorrow? Could they do it next week? Could they do it next month? That's anybody's guess, all right? What I believe is, I think right now China's looking at Russia-Ukraine right now, okay? And they're looking at this counter-offensive that's pretty much being reported that's failing, right, on Ukraine's part. And they're looking for the other shoe to drop over there in that war, okay? And like I said, once, it's not a matter of if the U.S. enters this war between Russia and Ukraine, it's a matter of when, right? I believe once the U.S. and the rest of NATO enter this war, get boots on the ground, U.S. forces on the ground, engaging with Russian troops, I believe that's when China's going to make its move, okay? And I don't think that it's going to be China's only play, all right? And what do I mean by that? I believe that China has plans to invade another country other than Taiwan, okay? And that other country, yeah, is us, all right? You could tell me what you think in the comments on that. All right, but let's just look at what's been happening over the course of the past several months. Okay, excuse me. We have the invasion at the southern border with the thousands of Chinese nationals. Okay, men, fighting age Chinese men entering this country. Okay, by the thousands. Right? We have the spy balloon thing. Okay, we have this whole shit show between Taiwan and China right now. We have the pretty much radio silence that's occurring between our two governments, the Chinese and the U.S. governments, right? So if you look at these series of events, okay, it all points to something is about to go hot, all right? So with that said, Oceanside, California, folks, all right? And this is something very interesting that I want to throw out there. And again, I put the description at the bottom of the video here for the sources. So Oceanside, California, all right? What's in Oceanside, California? That's Camp Pendleton, all right? It's a U.S. Marine Corps base located over there. So get this, guys. There has been several confirmed sightings of upwards to 20 U.S. Navy warships off the shore at various points along the coast of California. All right. Now, I mean, does that raise any alarms or any flags? Maybe not, you know, because there's other bases over in that part of the world. You got that big naval base over in San Diego, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. It's like a 32nd naval station over there. So it could be exercises. It could just be some routine patrols, all right? But here's where it gets more interesting. There has also been some reports of confirmed sightings from multiple sources of military vehicles with missile launchers, okay, positioned with the missiles being aimed out towards the sea. All right, along the coastline of California. I don't really know what to make of that. Okay, again, it could be just a preparedness and readiness drill. Maybe the U.S. military is taking precautionary measures because our West Coast is vulnerable, right? I don't know. But, I mean, we're talking military, you know, trucks with missile launches pretty much along the coastline of California with missiles on them aimed out towards the sea. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the U.S. has mobile nuclear missile launches. Okay, I believe they just come out of our silos and off of our warships and submarines, right? And out of the skies from the bombers. All right, so it's being discussed that these missile launches are possibly air defense missiles, right? So in other words, to intercept any incoming missiles from, let's say, a submarine attack from a Russian submarine. Okay, so that's interesting. All right, and again, you know, it's just these reports of these sightings came into a news outlet, a radio show that's out in that. I don't think they're based in California, but they're out towards that area, where people actually living in these coastal towns are seeing these for themselves. All right, and it's coming from multiple sources. All right, so it could be, you know, air defense to intercept submarine-based missile launches. So that's something to to be very wary about. All right, that leaves a pit in my stomach. Okay, so there's that. But what else is there to worry about when it comes to attacks on the West Coast, right? Again, I don't think we're looking at a nuclear strike here. All right, that's just my opinion. All right, I'm just another asshole with an opinion. But think about it, folks. If the U.S. is going to get attacked, we're going to get attacked from within. Okay? We've already got the Chinese nationals here. All right? And I've discussed this before. All right? We have land. We have resources. All right? China's overpopulated. Right? They're running out of resources over there. And we have plenty of that here. So if we're going to get attacked, why would it be a nuclear strike where it turns the U.S. into a total wasteland? Okay. I believe that it's going to be an EMP attack. Okay. And I believe it's going to come from China. And I think it's going to coincide with the cyber attacks that we have already experienced. All right. And that's going to come from Russia. All right. Or China and Russia combined. All right. I really don't believe we're going to look at a nuclear exchange here by any means. All right. We're going to be attacked from within. And I believe that's when China is also going to make their move on Taiwan. All right. And the way things are going with our military and the wokeness and how we're running out of supplies and how our government is running out of money, I believe we're in a bad way. Okay. So that's just my opinion. You guys can tell me what you think. But yeah, it's going to be an EMP attack. It's going to take out our grid. It's going to disrupt our supply chain, and it's just going to cause civil unrest. And these Chinese plants that are already here are going to organize if they're not already organizing, right? And they're going to start taking shit over. All right. The writing's on a wall, and for anybody that can't see that, I don't know what rock you're living under. Okay, it's all right there in front of you. It's obvious at this point, and we have an administration that is pretty much doing nothing about it. You know, they're entertaining. I don't want to say too much, I mean, because this platform, you know, but they're focusing on other things, people, all right? It goes without saying, right? And speaking of that, fuck it, I am going to say it, because I could give a rusty rat's ass. Something pissed me off the other day. So I was scrolling through my Twitter feed, and it shows a picture of the White House, and it shows the pride flag, okay, draped from the pillars, and flanked on each side of that pride flag are the U.S. flags. Did anybody see that? So you had the pride flag in the forefront of the White House, all right? And anybody that follows me on Twitter, I actually retweeted it. And my Twitter handle is at Mr. Outlaw. OUTLOOR. All right. Yeah, you saw that, prepping artist? Yeah, the pride flag flanked by the U.S. flags. All right. What a fucking disgrace. Okay. I mean, that's our nation's capital. And you're going to put that in the forefront. So, to be fair, okay, and if you want to recognize Pride Month, fine, but don't put it at the forefront. All right? Don't make it the centerpiece. All right? But this is what's going on right now. And it's an embarrassment. Okay? And this is what our enemies are seeing. Okay? They're seeing this fucking silliness take place over here. All right? And no wonder why the world is laughing at us. Right? So I just wanted to throw that out there. That really pissed me off to see that. The way it was displayed in the manner. And, you know, I was reading some of the comments underneath the tweet, and some people were saying that there's some kind of code where you can't have another flag other than the American flag as a centerpiece at the nation's capital. I don't know if that's accurate. Maybe there's some people on here that know to deal with that, but it made sense. I mean, there's got to be some kind of regulation, right? So, there you go. So, pissed me off to see that. Jim Shady, what's up? Looks like the rain's calming down a little bit. Maybe I can get that fire going later. Glad that you're here, brother. See any spy balloons up in your area? I've heard people are saying, turn the flag upside down. Yeah. What are you talking about? The American flag, Sandy, or the American flag being turned upside down is a sign of nation in distress? And yeah, yeah. And we pretty much are a nation in distress, right? In my opinion. The black American flag, it's a war flag. Okay. So yeah, that triggered me. Flag needs to go up soon. Yeah. Who thinks World War III is going to happen before the year's up? Serious question. All right. I'm raising my hand. I believe it's just going to be a matter of time before. I think once the U.S. enters this conflict between Russia and Ukraine, it's going to get real fucking ugly real quick. It's going to go hot. All right. And again, I think that's what China's waiting for. Depends on a few things, Jim Shady. What do you think, bud? Like I said, I think once the U.S. enters and the rest of NATO enters this conflict, China's going to get involved in some way, shape, or form before the next election. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. speaking of, they're doing everything in their freaking power to keep Trump from becoming president, right? Like you said, how things go with Russia or China, yeah. Yep. Yep. And the time of that indictment, they were talking about, I don't have any notes on it, but I watched a lot of news on it, read plenty of articles about it. But, you know, at the same time that he's getting indicted, we have the bribes, the so-called bribes that Ice Cream Man has accepted from Burisma, right? So once that broke, they decided to indict Trump. All right, and if that isn't political persecution, I don't know what is. All right, in my opinion, I think if that man goes to jail, all fucking hell's gonna break loose. All right, I don't think people are gonna sit on the side or stand there and take it. I mean, I could be wrong, but how bad does it need to friggin' get, folks? Right? This country is going to hell in a fucking handbasket quick. And this is the kind of shit you see in communist countries, you know. Political opponents being arrested over bullshit. Okay. This is pretty much communism 101, in my opinion. Shit's getting real, folks. Damn, we think of, like, probably because we're both hacks. Yep. Well, I mean, prepping artists, there's a good reason why people have forgotten all that, right? And it's the way our society is. You know, think of, and it goes all the way back to our kids in school. All right, the education system right now, the indoctrination of school that's going on in these schools with our kids. You know, get two of them, Jimmy. This is why people are forgetting about it. So. I don't think we stand a chance. I really don't. And that might not be the popular opinion, but I think there's going to be a lot of people in for a rude awakening. You know? And I think once all the pieces are in place, okay, when it's go time and shit hits, shit breaks bad, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be like deer in the headlights. No, they're not. I don't even think they do the Pledge of Allegiance in school anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I got 2 adult kids right now, and I don't think they were doing the Pledge of Allegiance in school. It's a fucking disgrace. Right? And I know I'm hopping all over the place here, but I really believe that this pandemic that we experienced was a test to the American people to see how far they could push us, right? So why am I jumping into that? Well, because when shit breaks bad, people are going to be looking towards the government to save them, right? To make things all better. So when that EMP comes, right, and we have that EMP attack or that cyber attack that brings breaks down the grid and knocks out all communications, people are going to be flocking to those FEMA camps, right? Because they're going to be told that the government's going to take care of them, and that's probably the worst thing to believe. Not this guy. Mm-mm. Yep, we're in for a world of hurt, folks. And if you're not prepared, God bless you. I'm just checking out the comments. Water, food, ammo in a safe place. Yeah. It's not hard. Every time I think I am prepared, I find out real quick that I am not. Well, you know, Miss Jack, that's a good mindset to have because it keeps you on your toes, right? Oh yeah, probably because I'm up on the deck. I don't know. I mean, the fire pit is about 30 feet away over there, and right up along the tree line. Yeah, it's not hard to prepare, folks. I mean, you just got to do a little bit each week. You know, do what you can afford. And I think I saw it. No, it was like 285 million Americans are unprepared. It's crazy. Yeah, it sure does. That's what I do. I don't go nuts. Just a little bit each time I go shopping once a week. You know? And you got to watch out for the zombies, right? Because when shit breaks bad, wherever you're located, you know, you got to keep that mentality that a lot of things could happen, you know. We've talked about martial law a lot on this channel, right? And what's involved with martial law, that's when the military comes around door to door, confiscating weapons, confiscating any supplies you have. So you got to worry about that. You got to worry about your neighbors. So you have to have a plan B, folks. You know, you have to have a place in mind where you can go to that's out of the way, that's out of the cities, out of the suburbs. You know, just a place just to get away from that. You know, because those are the areas that are going to be the hardest hit. But it's coming. It's coming. You know, and if for some reason we don't end up going to war with China or Russia, for some reason, if some kind of peace deal gets reached tomorrow, which I hope for, there's the problems right here at home, all right? Take foreign affairs right out of the equation for a minute and just look at the problems right here at home. We have lost our identity as a country, guys, right? And, you know, there's some folks out there there's a lot of folks out there that are saying, oh, well, you know, you gotta vote your way out of it. I think we're past that. All right, it's too fucking broken. All right, it's too FUBAR. Right, FUBAR fucked up beyond all repair. You can't vote your way out of this. The only way to fix this is a revolution, and not calling for it. You know, I'm not advocating for it, but that's what it's going to take. All right, I'm just going to come out and say it. All right, it's going to take some kind of revolution to get things back, to get this country back, and it's sad to say that. Yeah, that's an excellent point. We voted our way into it, and now we have to fight our way out of it. I couldn't agree more. But yeah, that's what it's going to take, folks. It's going to take a revolution. And it's not going to be Republicans against Democrats. It's going to be patriots against fucking leftists, like patriots against communists. All right, because that's basically what this country is turning into, in my opinion. All right, it's turning into a communist regime. All right, and this video is probably not going to stay up, but I could give a rat's ass. I'm just being honest here, calling it how I see it. I mean, just take a look around. Yep, it's going to be American patriots against commies. You know, and they're very easy to identify. You know, they're the people that pretty much hate the Constitution, pretty much want our southern borders to be infiltrated like they are now, right? Have no problems with what's going on in our schools. It's all over the place, everywhere you look. And it's not getting any better. And it's, again, you can't vote your way. You can't vote for that guy that's going to save everything, all right? If Trump gets elected, he's just one man. And look what they're doing to him. You know, he's not going to save it. You know, he might be able to buy us a little bit more time. But we need a total house cleaning, folks. Like, pretty much from top to bottom. You know, that's what it's going to take. We need our own reset, so to speak, right? And I believe that's what it's going to have to take, unfortunately. The parasites, yeah. So. Oh yeah. We're going to wrap in a couple minutes. Anyway, folks, with all that said, does anybody have anything else to add in the comments? Yeah, it is sad. It's been years in the making, though, Jim. You know, and some would argue that it started with the assassination of JFK. That's pretty much when shit started to go down south, you know, go down. You know, and there's all kinds of rumors and speculations behind that event. Right? Yeah, all we can do is hope, guys. And for those of you that are the praying types, all we can do is hope and pray. Right? I think it's going to take a little bit more than that. I think it's going to take some action. So, All right, folks. Anyway, that is the broadcast for this week. I thank you for joining me. Hopefully next week we can get back down by the fire. All right. And I'll see you here same time next week. All right. Matt Outdoorsman. Thanks for watching.